At about 3:30 p.m. on May 28th, the catastrophic scene finally happened. Most of the ice of the Bern Glacier in Switzerland suddenly broke and collapsed, accompanied by a huge roar, and millions of cubic meters of ice, snow, mud, and rocks immediately rushed down to the bottom of the valley. It was like an earthquake. The whole valley was shaking violently. A survivor who witnessed the whole process recalled, "Huge ice and rocks fell like bombs, making a deafening sound. A large amount of mud, ice debris, and gravel instantly flooded the entire village, and the whole scene was like a doomsday scene. Our village just disappeared completely before our eyes." Bratton Village Chief Matthias Bellward said sadly, "All the houses, roads, and farms were buried in a piece of mud." According to statistics, more than 90% of the entire village was completely destroyed by this avalanche. The most terrifying thing is that during the evacuation process, a 64-year-old local resident was still missing. According to the police, the man did not evacuate with other villagers at the time, and it is very likely that he stayed in the village and suffered. The rescue team immediately launched a comprehensive search and rescue operation, using helicopters and thermal imaging drones, but no trace of him has been found so far. "This is really terrible. We lost the village, but we will never lose confidence," the head of Bellevard said angrily. "We will definitely unite and rebuild our home together." The local government and rescue forces immediately rushed to the scene and carried out emergency rescue. However, the damage caused by the avalanche was too severe, and the rescue work progressed slowly. A large amount of mud and rock dumping blocked the nearby Lomtar River, causing serious flood risks. In order to prevent secondary disasters, the authorities had to block the main road leading to the village. Located in Central Europe, Switzerland is a famous alpine country known as the Roof of Europe. Most of Switzerland's territory is located in the Alps, which has breathtaking peaks and glacier landscapes. As the largest glacier concentration area in Europe, Switzerland has more than 4,000 glaciers of varying sizes, accounting for 1% of the world's total glacier area. These glaciers either cross the mountains or are embedded in deep valleys and canyons, forming a unique glacial landform. The most famous of these is the Bern Glacier in the central part of Switzerland. This glacier flows slowly down from a peak at an altitude of about 4,000 meters and eventually melts on a slope at an altitude of about 2,000 meters. It is about 23 kilometers long and is one of the longest glaciers in Switzerland. The source of the Bern Glacier is located at the foot of the famous Eiger Peak, surrounded by undulating glacier peaks, forming a breathtaking glacier peak scenery. The glaciers here cover the entire valley, forming a winding glacier canyon. However, in recent years, this glacial wonder is disappearing. Global warming is accelerating the melting of glaciers in the Swiss alpine region. According to statistics, the total volume of Swiss glaciers has shrunk by more than half since 1980. The Bern Glacier is no exception, and its volume is decreasing at a visible rate. The retreat of the glacier front and the expansion of the canyon behind are worrying. The impact of climate change is becoming more and more severe, and this magnificent glacier landscape is at risk of being annihilated at any time. Avalanche warning, villagers evacuated urgently. The retreat of the Bern Glacier has also affected the stability of the surrounding geological structure to a certain extent. In May 2025, the local geological department discovered that a mountain located downstream of the Bern Glacier showed obvious cracks and signs of slippage, indicating that a serious landslide was about to occur. This has attracted great attention from the local government and relevant departments. After careful evaluation, experts believe that the continued collapse of this mountain will cause the huge glacier above to collapse, forming a devastating avalanche. Once it happens, it will bring a huge disaster to the village of Bratton at the bottom of the valley. Bratton is a small mountain village in the area, with about 300 residents living all year round, mainly engaged in agricultural and animal husbandry production. The village is located at the bottom of the valley, just in the dangerous area downstream of the glacier. In order to ensure the safety of residents' lives, the local government issued an emergency evacuation order on May 19th. Nearly 300 residents and all livestock in the village were urgently transferred to a safe area. At the same time, the government has also deployed a large number of rescue forces to make preparations for avalanches. At the same time, experts are also closely monitoring the dynamic changes of glaciers and mountains. They use advanced monitoring equipment to track the melting rate of glaciers and landslides in real time. The results show that the situation is more serious than expected. The Bern Glacier is sliding towards the bottom of the valley at a speed of 8 to 11 meters per day, and more cracks and collapse signs have appeared in the mountain. This means that a devastating avalanche may occur at any time. An unprecedentedly devastating avalanche completely destroyed the village of Bradden. According to statistics, more than 90% of the houses and infrastructure in the entire village were buried in thick mud. The originally well-arranged village is now only a mess. Our houses, shops, schools, and even churches are gone. Belward Village Chief said, sadly, "Everything is completely destroyed and we have lost our homes." From the drone footage, it can be clearly seen that the main road in the center of the village is full of jagged roofs and broken walls. The mud flooded the roads, rivers, and surrounding woods, forming a dead brown plain. The few remaining buildings in the village were also severely damaged, tilted, and in danger of collapse at any time. This is really a ruin. Our homes have been razed to the ground. Villager John Schneider said in tears, "We have lost everything. Even the living environment has been destroyed." In addition to houses, the village's infrastructure has also been severely damaged. Roads collapsed, bridges were washed away, and the water supply network was interrupted. The entire village was in a dilemma of power outages and water shortages. Local agricultural and animal husbandry production has also been hit hard, with a large number of farmlands and pastures covered with mud and rocks, and the livelihoods of farmers have been completely damaged. Our village has completely become a ruin. The village chief of Belford sighed. Countless families have lost their homes and their lives have completely collapsed. We need strong support from the government and society to stand up again. At the same time, the villagers have also fallen into tremendous life pressure. Not only have they lost their houses and farms, but many people have also lost their jobs. The shops, hotels, and schools in the village have all closed down, and the resident sources of livelihood have disappeared. Coupled with the slow progress of post-disaster relief work, many people have fallen into economic difficulties and hardship. We can't even maintain the most basic life now. Villager Maria Smith said sadly, "All the savings have been destroyed and the government cannot provide timely assistance. We don't know how to survive." After the village of Bradden was completely destroyed by the avalanche, the local government and rescue forces immediately invested in emergency rescue work. Due to the serious disaster, the rescue operation faced many difficulties. The first is the search and rescue work. The police said that they have not given up hope on a missing 64-year-old man. The rescue team used helicopters and drones equipped with thermal imaging equipment to conduct a comprehensive search throughout the village. However, due to the interruption of the road at the scene, it is difficult to enter and a large amount of mud and rocks obstruct the line of sight. The search and rescue work has progressed slowly. To date, the whereabouts of the man is still unknown. At the same time, the rescue team must also guard against the occurrence of secondary disasters. The Longtower River buried by the avalanche has formed a temporary barrier lake. If a dam breaks, it will cause more serious floods. To this end, rescue workers had to prioritize clearing the river, setting up an alarm system, and being ready to respond to possible emergencies at any time. In addition, the rescue team had to restore the damaged infrastructure as soon as possible to create conditions for the victims to rebuild their homes. They quickly mobilized large mechanical equipment, such as excavators and loaders, to start clearing roads and removing mud and stone accumulation. At the same time, they also had to repair damaged water supply, power supply, and communication facilities to ensure that basic life in the disaster area was guaranteed. This is a protracted war, that requires the mobilization of a large amount of manpower and material resources. The head of the local rescue command said, "We must restore the basic living environment in the shortest possible time and create conditions for the victims to rebuild their homes." Fortunately, in the face of this disaster, the Swiss government and surrounding communities have lent a helping hand. The federal government immediately mobilized military and police forces to join the rescue and promised to provide financial support. At the same time, residents in neighboring areas also spontaneously organized themselves to collect supplies and donations and went to Bratton to provide help. At such a moment, we can feel the warmth and love of the whole society. Matthias Bellward, the head of Bratton Village, said with emotion, "This gives us the courage and determination to rebuild our homes. We will definitely unite and overcome the difficulties together." The long road to reconstruction. Although the basic living order of Bratton Village has been initially restored with the efforts of the rescue forces, there is still a long way to go to truly rebuild the home. The first is the huge gap in reconstruction funds. The losses caused by the avalanche are too severe. Almost all the houses and infrastructure in Bratton Village have been destroyed. Just restoring power supply and water supply and repairing roads and bridges will require hundreds of millions of funds. The housing and production facilities of most villagers have also been destroyed and need to be rebuilt from scratch. "We don't even have a complete house now," villager Maria Smith lamented. "All the belongings have been destroyed, and even the most basic living conditions are gone." Reconstruction work means a long struggle and great pressure. In addition, there are huge human and technical obstacles. To rebuild a complete village in such severe destruction, a large number of professional talents and technical forces need to be mobilized. From construction workers to planners, from electricians to drain workers, all skilled labor is in short supply. Moreover, due to the complex on-site environment, many projects also require special technical support. This poses a great challenge to the reconstruction process. We are facing unprecedented difficulties. The head of Belvard Village said worriedly, "Many villagers have lost everything, and we must help them rebuild their homes. But the entire village needs to be built from scratch, which requires a lot of time and manpower. Not only that, the reconstruction process may also encounter geological safety hazards. After the avalanche, the surrounding mountains and glacier structures have undergone drastic changes, and the geological environment is also facing potential instability. If landslides or glaciers burst again, it will cause new damage to reconstruction. This requires experts to conduct long-term monitoring and evaluation to ensure safety. We must be very careful to make all preparations." The head of the local geological department said, "Only when safety is ensured can we start real reconstruction. But this requires a lot of time and energy." In the face of such arduous challenges, the reconstruction process is inevitably slow and difficult. The government and rescue forces must make reasonable plans with limited resources and gradually restore the basic functions of the village. At the same time, we must take care of the living needs of the affected people and ensure that they get through the difficulties. This is undoubtedly a long and tortuous process. Unite and help each other to overcome difficulties. Despite the difficult prospects, we also saw the light of humanity in this disaster. With the efforts of the government and professional rescue forces, the local community also spontaneously organized to help each other and overcome the difficulties together. The villagers of Bratton showed extraordinary tenacity and solidarity. Although they lost their homes, they still took the initiative to participate in the reconstruction work. Some people took the initiative to provide labor to participate in the cleaning of roads and the repair of infrastructure. Others actively raised materials and funds to provide assistance to neighbors in trouble. At this moment, we need more unity and mutual help. Villager John Schneider said, "We lost everything, but we didn't lose each other. As long as we support each other, we will definitely be able to rebuild a beautiful home." In addition to local residents, people in surrounding areas also lent a hand. Neighboring villages Towns and cities have organized fundraising activities to provide daily necessities and reconstruction funds for the victims of Bratton. In addition, a large number of volunteers went to the scene to help clean up and rebuild. We are all the people of this alpine land, and we are family to each other. A volunteer from a nearby city said, "In such a difficult time, we should lend a hand and overcome difficulties together." This spirit of mutual help has also infected the Swiss government. The federal government attaches great importance to this disaster. It not only provides a large amount of relief supplies and financial assistance, but also dispatches military and police forces to participate in rescue and relief. In addition, several ministers were sent to personally comfort the victims and promise to fully support the reconstruction work. This is a huge disaster, and we must go all out. Swiss Environment Minister Albert Rosti said, "We will provide all necessary assistance to Bratton as soon as possible to ensure that they rebuild their homes as soon as possible." With the strong support of the government and all sectors of society, the villagers of Bratton are gradually getting out of trauma and regaining hope in life. Although the road to reconstruction is rough and difficult, they have shown endless courage and determination. "We lost our village, but we didn't lose hope," said the village chief of Bellevard firmly. "As long as we unite, we will be able to rebuild our beautiful home. This disaster cannot defeat us, but will make us stronger." Game between man and nature. The tragedy of Bratton Village has once again caused people to think deeply about climate change and natural disasters. In the past few decades, glaciers in the Swiss Alps have continued to shrink. According to statistics, the total volume of Swiss glaciers has shrunk by more than half since 1980. The Bern Glacier is no exception and is melting at a visible speed. This is closely related to the trend of rising global temperatures. Climate change is accelerating the melting of glaciers. Christian Hugel, professor of environment and climate at the University of Zurich, said, "This not only causes the volume of glaciers to decrease, but also makes the surrounding rock and soil structures more fragile." In fact, before the avalanche occurred, the local geological monitoring department found obvious slippage and cracks in the mountain. This shows that the melting of glaciers is causing serious geological disaster risks. Once the glacier collapses, it will have devastating consequences. "We are facing a vicious cycle," Professor Hugel said worriedly. Climate change causes glaciers to melt, and glacier melt triggers geological disasters, which ultimately endanger the living environment of mankind. And this situation is not unique to Bratton. In the past few years, other mountain villages in Switzerland have also suffered similar disasters. In 2023, the village of Brienz was urgently evacuated due to a landslide, but fortunately avoided greater losses. But this hidden danger has not been eliminated, but has become more and more common. The frequent occurrence of these disasters is inseparable from the impact of climate change. Professor Hugel said, "We must face this problem and take practical actions to deal with it." The residents of the Alps are undoubtedly the group that bears the most direct consequences of climate change. Their homes and livelihoods are deeply dependent on this fragile alpine ecological environment. And now, it is facing unprecedented severe challenges. "Our homes are disappearing little by little," said the village chief of Bellevard worriedly. "We have lost our beautiful glaciers, our peaceful villages, and even our lives. This is a heavy blow to us." Not only that, climate change may also trigger more unpredictable disasters. As temperatures rise and glaciers melt, the geological structure of the mountainous areas will become more unstable, and extreme weather events may become more frequent. All of these will pose a serious threat to residents in these remote mountainous areas. We must wake up. If we cannot curb the pace of climate change, people in the Alps will suffer even more serious disasters. We have a responsibility to build a safer home for them. Repairing damaged homes. Despite the current difficulties, the villagers of Bratton have not lost their determination to rebuild a beautiful home. With the strong support of the government and all sectors of society, they're gradually walking out of the shadow of the disaster. The first is to repair the infrastructure and restore the basic living functions of the village as soon as possible. After the intensive work of the rescue team, the main roads have been cleared and unblocked, and the power supply and water supply have been restored one after another. This has created the necessary conditions for subsequent reconstruction work.